Hello, hello, hello.
What's up?
Welcome to another book review. This one's gonna be a doozy. Roseblood
Roseblood.
by A.G. Howard. It was an Owl Crate selection.
Roseblood.
I do not have a physical copy because this came in an Owl Crate before I started subscribing. So I got through part of the ebook. And by part, I mean not a lot.
Roseblood.
It was... It's really
so,
bad.
I read it.
Yeah. She read all of it.
Yeah, you read this series though, right?
Yeah, so let's start by saying it's by the same author as, so we've got Splintered, and then Unhinged is book 2, and I mean the covers are great, for sure.
The cover is
Ensnared,
excellent.
book 3, and then Untamed, I believe, is also part of this trilogy, or quadrology, I should say. This is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and I've read that, and it was really, really good. Haven't read the other ones yet. This is meant to be, or purported to be, a retelling of Phantom of the Opera.
It literally says a Phantom of the Opera retelling on the front of this book. So pages are awesome because like it's red writing. I probably showed it in an Owl Crate at some point.
Props for the cover, because the cover is really pretty.
The cover is amazing.
Like these guys.
However, the cover is a lie.
Yeah, the cover is
The
deceiving.
cover is a lie.
The description is deceiving.
Okay, so like
where do we begin?
I debated on whether I was actually going to do a review of this book because it wasn't great.
And we don't want to be
and I don't want to be like
negative now.
That person.
Yeah. There's just too many things that didn't add up.
But I'm gonna be honest. So, like, I mean, I wouldn't say it was the worst book I've ever read.
No, the worst book I ever read was that one by Tyra Banks that I got like 20 pages through.
Wow, throwing some shade at Tyra Banks.
Yeah, because for sure Tyra Banks is gonna watch this. Tyra,
I mean, probably not.
I love you as a person and a businesswoman, but your book was really bad.
Okay, so back to AG
Roseblood.
here.
Yeah.
It was a big missed opportunity for me.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought, cool, a retelling. Like I've seen some of the movies of Phantom of the Opera. I'm not like a diehard fan, so I don't know like super detailed things about it. I know the basic storyline.
Yeah, same.
Based on the cover alone, I thought it would be interesting because it looks like she is the Phantom of the Opera. So I thought that would be a cool twist to do a retelling as a woman being the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
That's not...
It's not the case.
That's not the case.
No.
I'm not really even sure why she's wearing the mask in this cover. I don't know.
I mean, maybe give them an idea of the premise.
So, yeah. So
There's some correlation.
The Phantom of the Opera is in here. So like the original like Phantom of the Opera, Eric is in the book. So it's more of like a fan-made sequel than it is like a retelling of the original story.
It feels like fan fiction.
Yeah, because like it takes
does.
place 100 years after the events of the original Phantom of the Opera.
So it's like modern day. It's like a contemporary.
Yeah, it's like a contemporary, but like
right?
there's no real contemporary stuff in it. Like the girl, Rune, attends a school for American opera singers and opera stars.
Yeah. Only for Americans.
Yeah, only for Americans, and it's a school in Paris, and they have no Wi-Fi.
It's called Roseblood, hence the name of it.
The school is called Roseblood.
Yeah, there's no Wi-Fi, and there's no cell phone service.
Yeah,
so I'm like, this isn't like the 1800s.
So
like,
for it being like a modern day version, there was no like actual modern events that sort of like linked it to there.
Like the technology wasn't there.
Yeah, the technology wasn't there.
Me. Yeah.
Which I think was like also a missed opportunity there. Like the first 2 chapters were really bad.
Info dump.
The dialogue
Info dump.
was very info dumpy. Like, it wasn't like you could believe that, because like most of the dialogue took place between Rune and her mother on the way to the school
in a limo or something, right?
Yeah,
they
in like a
fancy limo,
and then
they
like
have money.
And then, well, they don't have money.
Well, the
aunt had money, who works at the school.
Yeah.
Who got her into the school.
Who's very French.
Yeah.
Because her father, who passed away, is French.
Yeah.
That's where the French connection comes in. First of all.
But so like their conversation together was not very realistic. I felt like it was kind of like a mother wouldn't be talking like that to her daughter. It was just like she was making information to the reader through dialogue when she didn't really have to do that.
It was like descriptions with quotations,
it was weird.
Kind of.
It was unnecessary.
Yeah.
And like you start the book off with like she has like this gift of opera singing mostly, and like she's an amazing opera singer. No matter if she's never heard of the opera before, if somebody just like starts playing it, she like just instantly knows like the entire song. And
since she was really little, she would.
Since she was like little,
like she would sing with her dad.
So it kind of starts off with that, but like the singing now like makes her feel ill. So like she can't control when she's singing. So it's kind of like a curse to her at this point.
Don't they, if I can intervene, I'm sorry, don't they call it purging? Doesn't she say she needs to purge herself of that?
Yeah, of the singing. Yeah.
Which I didn't like that because I feel like that could be a trigger for people with eating disorders. I didn't like that phrase, and I understand it can mean many, many things.
Yeah, and it'd be different if like they
like
took
that.
it in a different way of being respectful.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I just wanted to say.
So I'm just gonna be spoilery because like
it's gonna be super
to be honest
spoilery.
Like I wouldn't recommend reading it. Only if you want to read the most outrageousness of it.
It's comical. I didn't even get that far, and I just she gave me the out and was like, "Hey, if you don't want to finish it, I will," because you were almost done.
So, like I said, the first 2 chapters, the dialogue is kind of weird. It gets a little bit better, but a lot of I've read some reviews about it because I was trying to debate still whether I wanted to actually make this video, and I agreed with most of the reviewers. There was one in particular on Goodreads. I think her name was Melissa maybe Rose. I'm not sure.
Near the top.
But hers was amazing and very accurate to what
the cursing was kind of funny. The cursing wasn't really necessary, but it was
very necessary.
I
read the entire book.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
You only got 7 chapters in. Okay.
I literally stopped in the middle of a chapter
because I told you it was not worth it.
And I've never done that before. That's where I was like, God, it was just going south and south and south. And I'm like, is this going to get better? Is this going to get better? And unfortunately, it just didn't. And it's disappointing because I really liked Splintered. I really did. I never finished the series. And who knows, maybe I'd feel the same way about the way the rest of the series went. But this was just meant to be a standalone book. But it was a lot of missed opportunities and a lot of information that just didn't make sense, even as a fantasy.
So, I mean, there's just so much I could say about this, and I was gonna write down these are the things I'm gonna say, but I really just don't even know if that was worth it to write those down.
That's sad.
So,
I would give it 0 stars because it was bad.
I really wanted to like it, and that's why I kept reading. I thought maybe it would redeem itself in some way.
Yeah.
And, in some aspects, it was interesting. The concept was interesting. That's why I felt like it was a missed opportunity, because she could have made it so much more
such potential. Yeah.
Even if she had not been the Phantom of the Opera, even as the start, having a musical voice would have been interesting to see, having music be your a magical power kind of thing.
Yeah, they didn't.
They didn't really take advantage of that.
No.
In the way that they could have. And then you get further on in the story, and there is the Phantom's son roaming through the walls of the school, and then the Phantom of the Opera actually lives in I don't know, a basement of
in the center.
That's under a river or something. And he's lived there with his son, who is not actually his son, was somebody he adopted, which is a whole nother story that you learn.
There's too many branches off the tree, if you will.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like if you think of the story as a tree, I feel like the trunk is the main story.
Like it's gonna fall over because there's so many.
Yeah, it's just too many ideas that you could buy this or you could buy that, but the culmination of them together, I feel like it was just overkill.
It was
just
and
laughable.
Like it was almost too fantastical.
Yeah.
For even a fantasy, like. When you read a fantasy novel, you buy into that world. You give that, little bit of fantasy, like, room to do its thing.
Yeah.
Like, you give it room to be believable in its setting. But in this, it was, like, almost too outrageous.
It's too many things.
Like, it was just too much, and, like, you don't really even get anything until, like, 300 pages into the book. Like, a lot of it's just like,
it's a very slow burn. It's a very slow build up.
Yeah, it was very odd.
To nonsense.
Yeah, and then it's like you go to this nightclub that the Phantom of the Opera makes, and
it's like a rave.
And then like
for what? Cause what is he? You've already mentioned it. It's a spoiler.
A psychic vampire.
Psychic vampire. He's also a
succubus, and an incubus.
An incubus.
It's like she didn't really
and a calculus. No, sorry.
She didn't even know like what word she even wanted to use as like the terminology. Like she used all three of those things most of the time, even as she was describing like what it was. Like every time she used it, she was like, "I'm a psychic vampire, incubus / succubus."
Yeah.
Like it was.
It feels like it wasn't edited. When you tell me that, it feels like it wasn't like edited through. And like, no offense, but like, I understand that she's established herself as a writer with the other books, but like, I feel like this wasn't even looked at by the editor, the publisher, or somebody, or they just were like, yeah, this is great. I just feel like it's too much going on to be on board with all of it.
Like,
it's too wide of a scope. Like,
it just
you're like, you're this, you're that, you're that. It's like,
it just got like more outrageous.
It was like a stack
of like, oh, like she's a person that sucks the emotions and energy out of people, and they have flavors, and
that
like,
was
and then I don't know, it was just a lot to be believable, even for like a fantasy tale. And then you throw in like this other stuff with the son, and so she's just like instantly in love with this son who is basically her stalker. And like watches her
creeping up like Pennywise, like, in the
has been like
and the great
coming to her in her dreams like pretty much her entire life, and like playing.
So why didn't you recognize him?
Because he'd be wearing a mask.
Oh yeah, got it.
I mean, I don't know. It was super weird.
What did I call it? Idea confetti. It's like literally, let's throw all these ideas up in the air like confetti and see what lands. But here's the thing, like I'm a writer. I haven't published anything yet, but I've gone through my own work and I'm like, okay, this is too much. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't jive with this. This is info dump or whatever that looks like. But like if you throw these ideas up in the air, you see what sticks, but you have to also go through and weed through them then.
Yeah,
and further
it's just a lot.
Whittle it down to just things that could coexist together. And like you said, having the incubus / succubus / psychic vampire, like
it kind of just like
you can't be an incubus and a succubus at the same time because one's male and one's female.
Yeah, I think she was just referring to them as a culture.
So like, then that makes her a hermaphrodite or something. I don't know.
It was just a lot. It was a lot. And like then you throw in the Phantom of the Opera in there, and then it like
it's just too much. It's you're trying too hard to be like, I look at this and we were so excited. We're like, yes, it's Phantom of the Opera. We don't have much of a knowledge base on that. I have the basics on it. You have the basics on it. And it's so many missed opportunities. Like, and there was like one particular character which was so stereotyped and so annoying. Sunflower something or other. What was
Sunshine?
Sunflower. Just her name to begin with was like ridiculous.
Well, and all of their names were kind of Well, like the boy's name was Thorn, but his name was actually Etalon. Like,
well, that was kind of cool. Etalon was okay, but I don't know.
But his name was like
but Thorn was too obvious.
It never explained why why he picked Thorn. Just because like his Etalon name was too much of a regular cultural name that like the Phantom made him change it to something obscure.
But if it was a contemporary tale, Etalon would not be a common name.
Yeah.
had you named him David,
Yeah.
or Michael, or Mark, or Brian, or any number of names, that would have worked. But anyway, this sunflower person, this is what bothered me about her. She was so stereotypically Southern, where it was like all the stereotypes about, and I don't care about the accent, that's fine. Like if she's from the South, she's probably gonna have an accent. But just the words and phrases she used, it made her sound unintelligent, and it was insulting. My mom is from the South. I have family down South, and it was just like, you're stereotyping this person, like as though if you're from the South, you're just some stupid hillbilly. Like that's how I took it, and I don't like that. That was early on in the book. And
I mean, they didn't make her stupid. But...
Maybe not stupid. Maybe that's just where my brain went. I just feel like she didn't sound like she was very intelligent. I don't feel like she was given credit, and that could be my take on that could be completely different from yours. I just felt I didn't like the character.
It was very stereotypical because like it was weird because like
I didn't like
Rune was also from Texas, but she didn't have anything like
the mannerisms were not like that whatsoever. Right.
So they were from the same state.
Yeah.
But like I don't know.
But it was the same planet.
I don't know. And then like. It was the whole thing was very stereotypical, which was like mentioned a lot in a lot of the reviews. Like girl in YA novel meets boy and instantly in love.
Yeah, insta-love is the worst.
And like
too many, like, what do they call them, tropes?
Yeah, too many like YA
common tropes where you're like, I get that there's some books I feel like are kind of formulaic, even like crime/thriller books are.
Yeah, and I'm okay
because you
with
gotta
that.
have a bad guy and you gotta have a crime and you gotta have, like I understand that, but it was just too on point.
And honestly, I'm okay with like girl meets boy and falls in love or whatever.
But the insta love, I hate that.
But you have to have like
a build up.
You have to have some other story plot points like helping with that, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But there was also just the outrageousness of like, it turned out by the end that Thorn/Etalon/Rune were actually the reincarnated soul of Christine, which was the lover of the original Phantom.
Yeah.
And they were like,
over 100 years
when she died, her soul turned into the both of them because she's a twin flame soul, and so it was separated into a boy and a girl, and apparently the Phantom knew about this. So that's how he found Etalon and like wanted to take him and wanted to find Rune so that he could take both of them and take their soul. And the voice of Christine, which was like almost a separate thing that Rune had, it was weird. So like the opera voice that she had was actually Christine's voice, and he wanted to take all of that and put it in the fetus of his baby that he had with Christine, that he's kept alive somehow with like his magical vampire psychic powers.
So it's a baby vampire is what it is.
Yeah, and then like he captures them in the end, and then they're just like, hey, why are you even gonna do this? Like, the baby doesn't even have lungs, so how is it gonna use her voice? And then he's like, you know what? Yeah, that's true. I'm very sad. And like, it was just...
You didn't figure that out over the 100 years you had this kid with you?
It was kind of nonsense. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
It was just, like I said, like a lot of outrageous fantasy, like, happening at one time. And it was just hard to be believable. And like I said, I don't have a full detail of the Phantom
but it ain't
story.
But it's not that.
And then you fold in, like, an additional layer of, like... Rune is related to this guy who was in the original Gypsies, and like the Phantom like was living with the Gypsies, and the Gypsies had this special like black wood that they made like this Stradivarius out of, and like that was passed down the line to Rune's family, and the Phantom had stolen it at some point but then gave it back because he wanted to get Christine's soul back, and like Rune's father played the Stradivarius to her, and like that's how she got Christine's voice, because the voice was stuck in the Stradivarius when Christine died.
It's just too much.
And like Geppetto from like Pinocchio, Geppetto was also in there, cool.
Because why not?
Because why not? And he
didn't Elmo make an appearance? Oh no, sorry. No, Elmo was not there.
Geppetto was part of the Gypsies and was like the last
not even Disney.
remaining one of the
Furniture
original
makers or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. And he had the last remains of the Black Wood and like made these like puppets.
Didn't he do that? He did the set design for the school too.
Yeah, he worked at the school.
He was like a furniture
conveniently.
Dude. Yeah.
And like he made little black wood hearts in these little puppets which had the souls of his family. But nothing ever happened with that. They just like all sat around the table like and had tea in front of them, but they didn't move or anything. And then,
well, that would just be weird, Kate.
You know, that would be weird. And then Thorn Etalon also was trained how to like do surgery on animals because so that he would be able to remove the voice from Rune and put it into the baby. So Geppetto was one of the subjects that he like did experiments on. So Geppetto's mute now also.
Living with the Gypsies.
Yeah, and so he had like a way with animals, and Rune had a special ability with flowers and could like heal flowers and bring them back to life.
And like, what's the point of that?
I don't know.
Understand.
I don't know.
It's like okay, they have this ability. It's just,
they had too many abilities that like made no sense.
They had too many characteristics and too many abilities about them. And again, I'm getting the secondhand from you because I didn't read that far into it. But I didn't even get really into the story of the main characters. Like I was reading June's story and her getting acclimated to the school and the mom was still there and this and that. So I didn't even get into like the very meat of the story, if you will. I was still like, you know, I was working on the appetizer. Yeah, and you got into
and there's also random little storylines like throughout it. Like
it's just all these offshoots. It's this tree with way too many branches.
It took literally the whole year to like pick the people that were going to be in the opera, like
for the audition, which was like day one of like chapter 2 of the book.
And then like because Rune like barged into it and like started singing, they're like, oh no, we have to pause because she's so wonderful that we have to give her a chance to audition.
Yeah. But it took them like 100 and something pages.
Yeah, it took them throughout the entire book to like pick who's gonna be in it. Like I don't know.
So the timeline was just
and like she didn't want it the entire time. So like, oh poor me, like I have this talent.
Well, she also didn't want to go to this fancy school. It was like, oh poor girl, have to go to this fancy school. And no air quotes. It is in Paris.
Also, like, her grandmother tried to kill her many times.
Oh yeah, with fire, right? She tried burning the house down or something. Right?
She tried to drown her.
Oh yes, water. Sorry. Yeah, wrong element.
But like that was never really. Like...
They don't go into that storyline. That would have been more interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like how did she deal with that? What kind of emotional scars did she have from that?
It was kind of like I said, it was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot. It was like not a lot for like 300 pages, and then it was just like bam, 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 bam.
It was like saving up all. It was.
And then okay, I didn't even tell you this part. At the end,
there's more.
At the end, the Phantom goes and moves to Canada. To go live with some psychic vampires that live there. Because of course the Phantom's gonna go to Canada.
I feel sorry for the Canadians. I feel sorry for the Canadians.
Because why would he live the only
alien bookland? I'm so sorry.
The only home he's ever lived in Paris, to go live in Canada. God. I mean, I guess there's French.
Right, there's French Canadian. Yeah,
so there's that.
To Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still continue. Wait, now did he speak only English or did he spoke French too, right?
I'm assuming. Also, that was a side note annoyance because like they spoke French occasionally and like
there's no context.
There was no context of like, I mean, you can kind of guess what they were trying to say, but like she never like had a little thing in the back or anything being like, oh, this is what that French word means. And
so if you don't speak French, you're not gonna know what that is.
And like her aunt that worked there, that was another like subplot, is also one of these psychic vampires. And then like another one of the teachers, as a shocking surprise, is a distant cousin and was like watching out for her but was really being a dick. And like taxidermied a bunch of animals that...
Oh, yeah. Very Norman Bates of her.
It was...
From Psych.
Okay, so, I mean, I didn't want to be mean, but, like...
Yeah. You held back considerably, honestly, because it was
just kind of a hot mess.
Yeah,
really.
and we don't want to be disrespectful to the author. It's just, I would say, like, okay, it's just not for me, but I don't know that anybody would give this book a good review.
And like I said,
there
is an author's note at the back where she kind of explains, like, her thoughts on, like, how she came to...
Oh, I was not aware of this.
Yeah, how she came to, like, think of this and what... So it looks like she did, like, a lot of research about, like, about the Phantom of the Opera and, like...
But why is there nothing in there that reflects that, really? There's not,
and,
like, researched it, but where is it in the book?
So, like, she did to some degree, so, like...
I mean, but there's not a lot, though.
So I can see where she got to, like, where she was, but, like, I felt like it was just a lot to do, and I felt like she could have done a better story. She just had a better opportunity to do a better story, especially with this topic. Like, even just taking this concept of making the girl the Phantom,
that would have been cool.
Be an actual modern retelling of the story.
Yeah,
I think would be a much
with
more
Wi-Fi.
Interesting. So if anybody wants to write that, I will definitely read.
I'll read it. Yeah,
I'll read that.
I'll read
but
it.
Like, I don't know, and
it's out of 5 stars.
I feel like the Phantom wasn't ever redeemed, and the whole story of the Phantom is like he's a tragic tale of like loving this woman and her not, you know, reciprocating the love, and then like you just take that away by saying, oh no, she did after she got divorced and her husband died or whatever nonsense.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Wouldn't recommend.
No, sorry.
I like did do like little like a review page thing, and I pretty much said the same thing that I've already told you. But like one of the things I found interesting was like at the beginning of all the chapters, she quotes other people, which I'm like, that's the best part of this book, because you get to hear like these cool quotes from random people. And I thought the best quote, so like quotes from the book. Normally you put down here, and the best quote from this book for me was a quote by somebody that she took, which was, "We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful what we pretend," and it was by Kurt Vonnegut. Yeah. And I thought that was a very...
He's the one that did Slaughterhouse 5, right? I believe.
And so I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah.
I gave
but
it a...
why not? See, that would have been a great launching point for the story.
Yeah, and it's in like chapter 17,
so like, it's well into the book.
It's well in there, you know.
Yeah.
So I gave it the plot and overall rating of like 2. I was
5,
being kind.
Right?
Yeah, out of 5. Characters a 2 out of 5. Also being kind. Ease of reading a 2, because it took me a really long time to read this book. Normally I can read a book in like a couple days. I took a very long time to read this because it just wasn't very interesting, or it was too interesting in an outrageous way. Yeah. And I gave it a sad face.
Yeah, overall sad face.
Overall sad face, really, because like I wanted more from it. I did find the fire and ice flowers interesting. If those are a real thing in the book, they were really interesting. They were like these flowers that he would give to her.
Oh.
And they were called fire and ice flowers, and they were like a red and white flower.
Oh, that's cool.
So like they were really cool. That's about it.
The best thing you can say about it is that you're done reading it.
That is accurate.
Fun. I wanted to like it. I couldn't get through it.
I really wanted to.
I appreciate the effort and the thoughts that went into it. I mean, she had to have done a lot of thinking, a lot of planning to try to make it all work.
Like she explains like all the research she did, and like how she came to think of like the Phantom being a psychic vampire, and that would be a cool idea, and like cool, but then don't like sell it as a retelling.
Yeah.
Sell it as a what has the Phantom been up to for 100 years.
Yeah.
Not like about this girl that has no relation to him at all.
Yeah, not really.
Like, don't try to sell it as a YA novel about a girl. That's very stereotypical of a YA novel. And I don't know.
And the tagline on the back says her greatest talent is also her greatest curse. And I don't know.
And I felt like she very quickly, like, Thorne helped her get over her, like, fear of using her voice very quickly.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't even like
a curse for long.
It wasn't even like.
It was more of an annoyance, an inconvenience.
Only briefly in the beginning. And then, like, she suddenly was over her fear of it. And then, like, had mastered it. So I don't know.
So it doesn't make sense. So anyway, that's our review on that. Sorry, don't recommend, but we're just trying to be honest. People out there could read it and have a completely different, take on it. You've already read the spoiler. Sorry, we did warn you it was a spoilery. But maybe you'll read it and be like, oh my god, no, that sounds amazing. Like, I want to see all those weird, bizarre things and how they interact. And
for that, like, sure, go ahead and read it.
Not my thing. And, maybe people have other opinions. And this is only our opinion.
Yep.
This is just how we feel about it.
This is just our point of view.
Yeah. Hence the name of the channel.
So, yep.
That's it. Better luck next book. Hopefully it's going to be something. Well, we're doing the Hazelwood. So
I'm sorry, AG.
It's a go.
A.G. Howard. I wanted to like it. I'm sorry.
Really, really wanted to. But
sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll read the Alice one.
Yeah, because the Alice one's really good. That one I really, really liked. So
recommend the Alice one.
We'll see. Yeah. This one was pretty solid. Yeah. Can't speak.
No. Yes. No. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
That's it.
I don't want to say anything else.
Yeah, that's it for now.
I'm over
thanks for watching. We will
purging my soul.
Yeah, we will be back probably within a couple weeks filming again. We'll see what happens.
Probably. Who knows? But that's it for this book.
Something really exciting might happen that we have to film. We just don't know.
You never know.
We never know. Thanks for watching,
guys.
Bye.